Oh hey, it's Sabrina Owen. So today's video, Top 5 Wednesday, I am going to be talking about the top 5 books that I would recommend that kind of discuss mental illness or have mental illness woven throughout the book. So let's just go ahead and get started. Book 1 that I would recommend for talking about mental illness that I really enjoyed and I read as a young kid is Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. Now this story is basically about a grown-up named Charlie who has a really low IQ, and so he has a job as a janitor, and so they decide to do like testing on him to see if they can increase his IQ. So basically this book talks about the controversy between testing on people who are mentally challenged, and I just really love this book. It was so good. I read it so long ago, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and reread it. I don't actually own a copy. I feel like I used to a long time ago, or maybe I wished I did, but it's something that is so fantastic that I think you should read, and it's easy to understand. Book 2 that I would recommend is Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. Now this is something that I actually read really recently, and if you haven't read any of Gillian Flynn's books, then you don't know that a lot, like all of her books that she's written have some sort of mental illness theme in them. And so the reason why I like Sharp Objects, because to me it had the most mental illness in the book out of all the ones that I've read by her. So if Sharp Objects is about a reporter named Camille, and she is going to her hometown to go visit her family to get a story, to get the scoop on a murder that's happened in her hometown. And so basically, without spoiling it, you find out that someone close to her is really mentally ill and is committing the murders. And so it's really fantastic. I think Gillian Flynn does her writing so well, and I would highly recommend it. The lighting. Okay. Book 3 that I would recommend is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. This is also something that I read this year, and I really, really loved it, and I really enjoyed it. We Were Liars is basically about this girl and her adventures to her family's like summer house and all of the people that she hangs out with, and in the end you find out a huge twist. And so I'm not going to spoil it, but basically you find out that she has kind of had a little bit of mental problems, and that's why she was going through basically all of her emotions and her thoughts and her feelings weren't really real. You just need to watch it. It is so, or you need to read it. It's so good. I would think it'd be good to be turned into a movie, but okay. Book 4 that I would recommend is The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. So this book doesn't really like center around mental illness like the other books that I've talked about, but it does have a theme or an element to it. The Girl on the Train is about a girl who sits on a train and she passes by this same area in the same neighborhood over and over every day, so she starts to develop like a connection and like thoughts about them. And so the reason why I feel like this book is a little bit about mental illness is because I feel like the main character has a little bit of mental illness herself. I mean, she's really obsessed with her ex-husband, and she's obsessed with strangers that she doesn't know, and she's constantly putting her life at risk because of this obsession. And so I feel like she kind of has some like depression and mental illness problems that aren't directly talked about or discussed, but I feel like it definitely, the whole time I'm reading this, I'm like, this girl is crazy, like nobody would do this in the right who was mentally stable. And so I really enjoyed it. I'll leave my Goodreads down below so you can go check that book out. The last book that I would like to recommend that it kind of talks about mental illness and many dark subjects is Crank by Ellen Hopkins. So Crank is mostly about a girl who does a lot of drugs, and that's like the main theme throughout the whole series. But in Crank specifically, what I wanted to kind of talk about was the eating disorder and the suicide side of it. This book talks a lot about drugs and how the main girl is feeling like she wants to take her own life, and so because of these drugs she has a lot of mental illness problems. And eating disorders and suicide are mental problems that people deal with that should not be taken lightly, and so I would highly recommend this. It is a whole series, but I've only read Crank and I really enjoyed it. So that is it for my top 5 Wednesday. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you do top 5 Wednesday, let me know down below so I can go check out your channel, and I'll talk to you very soon. Thanks for watching.